So, now we start with Jamie Prickett. Jamie is an experienced and enthusiastic life insurance leader who started as an agent and an agency builder. Today, he has just been appointed as the new co-CEO of Associated Owners Group as part of Experior Financial. He'll tell you a little bit about this, but he's not here to talk about Experior or AOG. He is here to talk about how they work with their clients and help them have that fabulous experience in this business. So without any further ado, would you please welcome my friend and a real decent guy, if low-key, please welcome my friend, Jamie.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Awesome. All right. You know, of all the introductions I've had in my entire lifetime, that was the most recent. I appreciate that. I stole one out of Sheldon's book over there. Thanks, Sheldon. Thank you all for being here today. This is an honor and a privilege. I'm actually excited to be mingling and learning from all you all because there's a lot of veterans in this room. If you've been in this industry for 20 plus years, would you mind just standing up for 1 second? If you've been in the industry, insurance business 20 plus years, look at this, folks. Give them a round of applause. Now, stay standing if you've been 25 plus years. All right, 30 plus years. Wow, 35 plus years. Look at this, guys. 40 years. Stay standing if you're dead. No, sorry, 45 years. 45 years. 50 years. Wow, look at, we still got two. Oh, wow, congratulations. Awesome. We'll stop there. I don't want to age Sheldon, but anyway, I'm going to talk today a little bit about what is your business development strategy. And one thing that there might be some misconceptions over the years as my wife and I were building our organization, which is Experior Financial Group, we did a lot of recruiting, right? And with a lot of recruiting, sometimes comes challenges, sometimes comes perceptions and things like that. But one thing that we've taken a real serious look at over the last 11 years is our compliance. How do we make sure that as we grow our distribution, how can we stay relevant in the market, competitive in the market? And some of the things that we train on is how an agent ought to operate when they're sitting down with a customer. And we start with a business development strategy. And basically what a business development strategy is, at least according to me, and I'm up here, so I'll share my thoughts. It's a comprehensive plan to, number one, acquire new customers, expand into new markets, and develop solution-based tools and ideas to serve your customers. So that's the premise of what I'm going to be sharing today. We talk about 5 different elements of this. Number one is lead generation. And there's different types of lead generation. We've expanded our organization into the US of A, and one thing I've noticed is that there's a lot of lead companies. And I don't know, some of you guys may have in the past dealt with, I don't know if you remember the ISI, Insurance Supermarket was on the scene several years ago. I know Heather knows them well. And they were really focused on the lead generation. And one thing that I've learned from a bit of experience, but also even with Heather, is that sometimes with the lead generation, there's not such a personal relationship with the customer. And if we're not building a personal connection with the customer, they're not going to have that same stickability with you as an advisor. So when we do talk about lead generation in our organization, it's not just about making the sale and then on to the next one. It's about nurturing that relationship. Every 6 months, there's a follow-up email or a call just to make sure that the customer's in touch with you. One thing that I did early on in my career is I made sure that every single time I got a new customer, I would add them to my Facebook account, right? And I know now the newer thing is Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff. I'm not as familiar with that. But to this day, I utilize my Facebook quite often. And I have customers that I haven't seen, some of them in 20 years. I've been 24 years in this thing. And in 20 years, I haven't seen a customer. And all of a sudden, I'm walking through the mall, and I remember this one guy just comes walking up to me. I'm there with my daughter, and he goes, "Jamie, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, you, how you doing?" And it took me like 10 minutes or a couple minutes before I could figure out who this guy was. he was talking to me like we were brothers, like he knew everything. He goes, man, congrats on your business and this and that. And man, I just saw you had a kid. And I'm like, how does this guy know all this stuff? He's on my Facebook. So in a way, having him on my Facebook is almost like I'm making those touching points, right? It's like I'm collapsing time for, I'm not making the calls all the time, but he feels like I'm in touch with him because I'm always sharing updates and things that are going on in my business. So that was one thing that we did. Partnerships, collaborating with other businesses to reach new markets. One thing that we just recently done, and this is actually my first talk I've done, and I do a lot of talks. This is my first talk I've done in 11 years where I'm not the CEO of Experior. My wife actually has stepped up into the role, Leanne over there, as CEO and president of Experior. And we formed a new partnership, or a merger, if you will, with a company called Associate Owners Group. And one of the reasons for that was because that we knew that we could reach out to new markets. We could reach different demographics. We kind of felt like in Experior, we were not pigeonholed, but we were in a model that might be good for some, but not for everyone. And we thought, well, if we really want to grow something and do something big, we want to have a model that's good for everyone. And that's what we've done with this recent relationship. We talk about customer retention, building strong customer relationships to encourage repeat business and generate referrals. And I'm going to touch on referrals in one area that I had success when I was in the field for a number of years. Product and service development, identifying products or services for the need of your target market. And then lastly, market expansion, establishing new centers of influence. So here's some responsibilities of our business development strategies. Number one is identifying and promoting revenue-generating activities. I heard years ago that every day you have to do something that's revenue-generating, and I'm a simple guy, and I just keep it simple. And to me, the number one priority in my business when I was learning this thing was prospecting. And I heard a guy in our business shared this many years ago, and I use it in almost every talk, and that is that you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it. And one of the things that we've recognized is when we recruit a new agent into the insurance business, we can teach them some of the concepts about term life insurance and permanent life insurance and the different participating whole life options and universal life and how the segregated funds work and all this stuff. And the problem is they get paralysis of analysis. Sometimes we can almost overshare. And I know some people think, well, no, you should know absolutely everything before you open your mouth and talk to a consumer. If you think that way, odds are you've never spoken to anyone in your life in the industry. We don't know everything when we're learning the business. And what we've learned is that we have to sometimes give an agent some grace. So what we believe in, and this is one of the methods that we've taught, is that we don't want to make a sale on a first visit, especially if it's a newer agent in the business. It's always maybe a 3-step process, sitting down with that customer to gather information. Then they can sit with one of the established agents in the business to go through the program and actually know what they're going to go back and present to them with. We have to look at getting sales support and sales resources. How many of you guys abuse the insurance providers? Anyone in the room? No? Am I okay, one person? Good for you. We got to start abusing them in a nice, loving way, of course. But one thing that we've done is every week we make sure that we've got at least 2 hours on the Canadian side, at least 2 hours of listening to Serenia Life and our friends over there. At least 2 hours of listening to our friends at Beneva or our friends at IA or wherever they may be. I'd say Equitable, but they're not in the picture anymore. But that's another story for another day. Love you, Equitable. So when we do that, it's using their resources, not ours, right? Because as we're building our practice, the more we can leverage others, and let's face it, the insurance organizations, they invest in the wholesalers and the business development managers to help us in our business. Are we using those resources that are absolutely free and at our disposal, right? Learn sales and products. Learn practice management. Develop and promote your brand and value proposition, and lastly, be compliant. Highly focused strategies are being relentless in collecting referrals and retaining clients. And again, I'm going to touch on that. That's going to kind of be the point of my message is on the referral side. But get elite training and mentorship to be your best. Develop unmatched client experience to create raving fans. And make yourself a household name in your markets. And again, going back to that example when I was walking through the mall with my daughter, I've become a household name to all of my customers because they're on my Facebook. They see my life. They know what's going on. And some people don't like showing pictures of their kids online or whatever. I'm not one of those guys, and maybe I'm a fool for that. But I like people to see what's going on in my life. I like them to know if I'm traveling or if I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And I know some people are like, oh, they're going to steal my identity. And I'm like, all right, well, good for them if they're creative enough. But, some people, that's a concern and that's valid, then maybe just put little smiley heads on all your kids' faces in the pictures and stuff and do that, right? But I think that your customers need to know who you are as an individual, not just as an advisor, because then they're going to build a more common rapport or common ground with you. I'm going to talk, this is probably one of my favorite slides, and it's establishing your why. And if you know what your why is, the how becomes so much easier. And here's an example. If I set a plank across the floor right here, and I said to you, I want you to walk across this plank, and if you do that, I'll pay you $20. How many of you guys would be willing to do that for $20? A couple of you? How about $100? Would you walk across the plank right here? Right? How about $1,000? Anyone? Okay? I mean, $1,000. I mean, I can be in a wheelchair in a nursing home, and I'll figure out a way to make it work, right? But what if I put that plank at the top of a 20-story building? And I said, if you go from one side of the building to the other, I'll give you $20. Now, if you fall, you're sure to die. How many would do it for $20? How about 1,000? How about 1,000,000? See, there's one daredevil. There's always one. Put it this way. We wouldn't do it for all the money in the world, would we? Because if we die, like the odds are, we could die, and we're not willing to take that kind of risk. So what if I told you, though, that on the other side of the building, on the other building, the fire was blazing, as you see in the picture, and your child was on the other side, or your spouse was on the other side, or your parent was on the other side. And the only way to save them is to walk across that plank 20 stories up and grab a hold of them and help walk them back across to the other side. How many of you would go across the plank now? I think almost every one of us would. And the only thing that changed, the circumstance did not change. The how did not change. You still have to walk across the plank, get to the other side. What changed was the purpose, the why, the reason for it. And one thing that I could be guilty of is having a massive, powerful purpose in my life. That's one thing I'm guilty of. I have a massive reason for doing what I do. And I feel like that's what's driven me for 24 years in this industry, even though the first 10 were a blip and I didn't make any money and I struggled and sucked, but I got better after. So I see some people come in, they're making 6 figures their first year, $250,000 their first year. I'm like, how'd you do that? I made $13,000 my first year full time. I mean, I couldn't figure out how to sell. Training and development. Obviously, I mentioned the carrier wholesalers, CE credit centers, right? Developing your own playbook, LEAD, which is Learn, Earn, Achieve, Develop. It's a program that the great Sean Redford put together for our organization. Online and live professional development. HPN. Anyone heard of HPN, Hoopus University? We use a lot. Never heard of it? No? It's pretty awesome. No one's heard of it, Sean? I thought you said everyone knew about it. Okay. Google it. It's pretty cool. It's Hoopus University. E-Selfie Taylor's on it that Jim just mentioned. Jim Ruta's on it. A lot of great experts in the industry. I've learned so much from going through HPN University stuff I thought I'd never need to know, and some of it I swear I don't need to know, but man, there's a lot of great information. Using a financial needs analysis tool, we've built one out, but also like companies like IA have one built into their system. These are great tools. Build around a CRM so that you can manage your customer database. Life design analysis is another one. Equisoft platform with LifeGuide. Get creative using ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys are aware, but if you ever have a keynote talk, and I didn't do it for this one, but sometimes I'll do like a keynote talk, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Like sometimes 10 minutes before the meeting, because we're just running at 100 miles an hour, I'll just go to my friend ChatGPT, and I'll say, hey, can you create me a 10-point presentation on how to win and why? And then it's like, and then I get up there, and people are like, man, that's great. And really, it was just ChatGPT helping me out. Sheldon, that's my secret. Create key initiatives, marketing to doctors, maybe single parents, construction workers, women, ethnic groups, hard to insure, insuring children, charitable giving, marketing to new homeowners. I mean, just getting creative. When I started in the industry, it was in 2001, and I joined I joined a company at that time they're still in business. They're one of the bigger ones in Canada, and it was a network marketing, recruiting type operation. And when I joined them, the first thing they got me to do was put together my top 100 list. And one thing that I've learned is every stage in my business, I started putting together a top 100 list. If I open up my phone right now, because of this recent relationship with Monty, guess what? I have a whole list. I'm not at 100 yet, but of all the different prospects that I need to contact. I've got an entire list that I'm creating. And that list has changed over time, right? But every single event that I go to, every single session that I attend or speak at or go to learn at, I'm always redoing my prospect list. I'm always adding new names. But here's the big key. I actually call them, right? I actually call them. And a lot of times we're waiting for the calls to come in. And maybe that's what happened my first year in the business. I think I was waiting for the calls to come in. That's why I didn't make any money. And then when I realized that if I just make the calls, if I just reach out to enough people, some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. I just got to keep making the calls, keep talking to people. Ben Feldman said, don't sell life insurance, sell what life insurance can do. And I think that in a way is just saying, what is the why behind selling life insurance? What is the purpose for it, right? We don't go to Home Depot to buy a drill because we want a drill. Why do we buy the drill? Because we want the hole, right? That's what we want. We want the hole. That's the end result, but we need the drill to get to the hole. When we're talking about referrals, the best time to ask for a referral, in my perspective, is on the first visit with a customer and just have it as a mindset. One thing that I got comfortable with telling my customers is that I do charge a fee for the service that I provide. And my fee that I charge them is referrals. And that's my fee for service. So I say, John and Mary Smith, if I'm able to put a plan together for you that's better in every which way, when I come back and show you the plan, you guys are probably going to name your next kid Jamie. Whether it's a boy or girl, it's unisex. It's just unbelievable what I can put together for you. Like ice cream has nothing on this invention of what I'm going to create for you guys. So I'm wanting to know that if I can do that and I can impress you guys and you decide to move ahead and do business with me, what am I doing there? I'm selling the sizzle a little bit, like, hey, what if I could do this? What if I could do something so great for you? And if I put this plan together and I come back and sit down with you guys and you guys are just blown away, like, Jamie, where have you been all my life? And of course, I'm getting them laughing and joking. And I'll say, then I do expect a fee. And then they're like, oh, a fee. I say, but it's not in the monetary sense. See, the way I get paid is by the companies that I source all the solutions to. They pay me. You don't have to pay me out of your pocket. They pay me. But what I do expect in exchange for a fee from you is referrals. And by referrals, I mean introductions to people that you love and care about who you think would also benefit from the program. Does that sound fair? They'll go, yeah, sure. And guess what happens? On the second visit, I go through everything, share with them the findings of the report, and hey, this is what you need, go through all that. And then I say, which of these programs do you think would best suit your needs at this time? I usually give them a triplicate of choice, so they have some options. I usually steer them towards the one in the middle, right, which is the one that I always want them to buy, but sometimes giving people choice makes them feel more empowered rather than saying, you need this. I'll just say, hey, here's 3 programs I designed. Which of those 3 do you think best suits your needs at this time? I'm not asking, what do you think? Should we go ahead? And then they could say yes or no. I'm asking, which of these 3 do you need, right? And then at that point, when they pick one, I'll say, excellent. I'm going to ask you a few more questions. We'll go through the application and see if we can get you qualified. After I do all that, do all the paperwork, write the sale, everything else, Bob's your uncle, nurse is going to call this, that, and we're going to take some time, right? Sometimes the policies get issued in 2 minutes. Sometimes they take 2 years. Just be patient, right? I always set the right expectation. My world record for a policy getting issued, thanks Le Capital, it was 12 months. It took 12 months. We had to reapply, I think, 3 times throughout or something, but it got issued. And that was doctors' problems, not Le Capital's. It's because Sean was working there? No. No. But once I do all that and they've signed and everything's done, okay, I then say, as I'm about to leave, I go, I forgot to collect my fee. And they're like, what? Like, what did he just scam us? And all of a sudden they got this little, I can actually see in their eyes, they're like, what's he talking about? And I say, no, remember I said my fee on the first visit was referrals? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, geez. They were thinking like I just got them to sign and now I'm going to charge them something. So I actually get them relaxed about giving me referrals. See the psychology? It's a beautiful thing. And then I say, and then they say, I'll say, do you remember that sheet that I left you guys for the referrals? Because I always leave them a sheet, right? It's got like, it's got like memory joggers on it and stuff like that, and where they can put the name, phone numbers, emails, and all that of the customers. And I say, remember that sheet that I left you? And you know what the answer is all the time? Oh, I can't remember where we put it. And I'll go, no problem. I brought another one. I'll pull it out, and I'll say, I remember you mentioned me about your brother's pain in your butt. Okay. What's your brother's name? And I think my record is I went about 45 seconds silent after that question. What's your brother's name? I want them, and then all of a sudden, it's like human nature. It just starts bubbling in their stomach a little bit, and they're like, Bill, my brother's name's Bill. But they're trying to hold it back. And then they'll say something that I really love. I really love when they say this. They'll say, well, I'd like to call them first. Anyone have that with referrals? I'd like to call them first. How many of y'all know they don't call them, right? I mean, very rare. They don't call them. So you know what I'll say? I'll say, you would do that for me? You'll call them? And they're thinking they got off the hook. Yeah, I'll give them a call first. Awesome. Do you think you'd be able to do it in the next 2 weeks? Would that be enough time? Oh, yeah, Jamie, that's lots of time. Great. Tell you what, I won't call any of the people that you give me tonight until 2 weeks is up. What's your brother's name again? And that's it. And that's how we're getting 5 to 10 referrals from every customer that we sit down with. And those 5 to 10 referrals, here's the beautiful thing about it. It might only lead to 1 or 2 more customers. One thing I know is that when I was calling referrals, I didn't want to be aggressive or pushy. Someone's tea's ready. I didn't want to be aggressive or I didn't want to be like overbearing on the phone and trying to book that appointment, because one thing I knew is if I had to push to get in the home, then you got to push to get the sale, and then you're going to lose the customer anyways. I wanted people that when I called them up and I said, hey, your friends John and Jane Smith recommended your name to me, and I'm just calling to see if I can sit down and show you the same thing I showed them. They were very impressed. They passed your information on to me. And if they say, no, I'm not interested, you know what I say to that? Hey, no problem. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you taking the call. I don't want to damage my reputation with John and Mary Smith by becoming some sleazy sales guy trying to push them to get in their home, right? I'm waiting for the couple that I call and I say, hi, is this Bill? Hey, Bill, it's Jamie Prickett. I just sat down with John and Jane Smith. I don't know if they told you I'd be calling. No, they didn't. Okay. Well, hey, listen, the reason I'm calling is because I was able to help them out with a program in the insurance investment business. And I was wondering if you and Mary would be willing to sit down with me. I could show you the same thing that I showed them. Jamie, where have you been all my life? Come on over. I was about to go to the bank to buy life insurance. I've been looking for you. Man, I just had a pension that I was wondering what I should do with it. My time's coming up. I just left my employer. Those are the kind of appointments I want. But those aren't going to be 90% of my referrals. Those are like a small percentage of my referrals. But all of a sudden, for me, when I was in the field working this thing for my first 17 years of the 24 that I've been doing this, I love this business. I genuinely love this. Even, matter of fact, even when I was broke with my first company, I still love this business. It might be because they served really strong Kool-Aid, but I love this business. I mean, it was so much fun to me. And when I was sitting down with customers, it wasn't this tension all the time. It was a comfortable feeling, like they wanted me there, or they at least were open to me being there. It wasn't like I pried the door open, right? Don't just ask for referrals. I think we need to expect them. I believe that if you're doing a good job for a customer, they want to refer you. They're just uncomfortable and maybe don't know how. Because think about this for a second. If you thought about all the people in your life, in your circle, how many of you want them to be properly protected? Like you want them to have the right amount of life insurance. You'd love to see them have success in retirement. We all want that for everyone in our life. The way my mindset is, so does that customer. They want what's best for their family. But what they don't know is that many Canadians don't have life insurance or the proper amount of life insurance. Most Canadians are not retiring with dignity. They don't have the money that they need saved. And they don't know those stats. I do. But my job is to paint a picture for them that, hey, you're not just giving me a referral to get me off your back. You're referring me to someone whose life could potentially change because you introduced them to me. I just paid like my 12th or 13th death claim, or about to pay my 12th or 13th death claim just last week. The husband, I wrote him up on a policy. I didn't remember who it was, but it was interesting because it was while I was training my wife's good friend in the business. This was 13 years ago. I wrote the policy, sadly with Equitable Life. But it's a long story. I'll share with you one day. But here's the great thing. Equitable Life is going to stand up for the promise that they do for the community, and Equitable Life is going to pay out this policy, and that's a good thing. And I'm really happy that this family was protected. And guess what? The person that I was training in the business, they got their license, they made a few sales, and then they never did anything else after. They left the industry altogether. And when she called me, because her brother-in-law that she took me to see, that I helped her write the sale, it was her client, but she left the industry, so it rolled up to me. I'll tell you, that was a cool moment. It was a cool moment to know that, hey, this lady maybe isn't destined or determined or made out to be a great insurance agent, but because she introduced me to someone, she was able to change her sister's life when her brother just passed away. Last of all, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time and listening to me. Hopefully you got any nugget out of that. And like Jim said, even if you just take one little piece of something that each speaker shares, I think we can all become better agents and better advisors for our clients. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jamie. You see the prospecting performance from him? He said, expect the name. He says, and so what's your brother's name? 45 seconds. I love that. See, a lot of this business is a performance, and that was excellent. Prospect every day. Referrals as a fee for service. Oh, I forgot to collect my fee. Brilliant stuff out of Jamie Prickett. Please, one more time, just let's give him our congratulations. Thank you. Great job, Jamie.